Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fire Up and Happy Halloween. My name is Scott Morgan off the Motor City Madmouth. Glad to be joined by Madman Mancini. And boy, we have a mad theme tonight. And you know what, folks? You're going to start seeing a lot more of Mark and I, and potentially some guests that come on his end. Mark and I have a lot of experience in this business, and I think the one thing I'm looking to accomplish under the format with Madman Mancini and Mad Mouth, so to speak, is we're going to talk about some of the most timely topics out there, and we encourage any type of comments in the chat room. So happy Halloween, Mark. I know you got some people coming over shortly. Got a few topics we're going to get to right away, and then we'll go from there. And the one thing I really like to do is I like to talk about Ironman streak. And one that just occurred recently was Phil Kessel with the Vegas Golden Knights. He had 990. And that to me is impressive. So when you look, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot here, okay? When you look at Ironman streaks, do you find that what Kessel did in hockey is impressive, or the NBA where they had H.C. Green 1192? I know MLB, we know about Cal Ripken's long iron 2600 plus, and of course Brett Favre had a steep Ironman streak as well. But of the Ironman streaks in the four major sports, Mark, which one are you the most impressed with?
Well, I think the one you just alluded to in Phil Kessel, because when he came into the league, with Toronto, the bottom line was he wasn't more or less a team player. He got the hedgehog type of hanging around his neck as far as the way he was out of shape and everything. I think he really found himself in Pittsburgh when he won the cups with Letang and Malkin and Crosby. I think he really came together. And I think the biggest guy that he looked up to that really had an influence on him was Rick Tocchet, who became the Coyotes coach.
Right.
After he left Pittsburgh. And then, going to Arizona, I think it's remarkable for a guy that was kind of, not looked upon, like AC Green and Cal Ripken Jr., they were humble guys when they first started. When you looked at Phil Kessel, he was just a guy that, was a high draft pick that was pretty much out of shape people looked at, but pretty damn impressive what he accomplished in the NHL. And, I missed him in Pittsburgh. I still got a jersey, believe it or not, of a Kessel jersey from Pittsburgh. Wow. So it's pretty impressive to say the least. And I'm not being biased because he played for the Penguins, but I just think in hockey, with everything that he went through, where people threw him on the scrap heap, I think that's damn impressive.
No, I don't view you as being biased because you're in Pittsburgh at all. I'm the one who brought up the topic. And the only thing I'll add to that, Mark, is when you look at the four major sports, hockey is a tough grind. You don't have any Ironman streak over 1,000, and Kessel will get there. I thought we had it with Keith Yandel is what we did, but he retired, then Kessel overtook him.
Well, Gary Unger was another one, if you remember.
Yeah, he played with the Red Wings. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad you remember him. Yeah, he played with the Red Wings and St. Louis Blues. But you talk about Iron streaks, man streaks. I think in hockey, if you can have a big Iron Man streak, because of the physicality of the game that it takes over your body, that to me is the reason why I'd give hockey number one. I would actually give the number two one would be the NFL. If you can play 260 some odd games in that sport's incredible. MLB and then the NBA. So, I think that would be the order. All right, topic number two. The NFL's decision to have Jacksonville versus Denver on ESPN Plus streaming is the way to me, is not the way to go in this case. I like streaming. We do it here all the time. And in this case, I don't know how many people actually saw the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Denver Broncos play. I know Denver won it 21-17. But at what point, Mark, I know we have it on Amazon Prime on Thursday nights, but you're talking about a game in London. You're trying to market it out overseas. What are your thoughts about the fact that the Jags and the Broncos were streamed on ESPN Plus yesterday early? I had issues with this one.
First of all, you get to see it on the NFL Network, and I'm blessed enough to have that. And then you can catch some of these games at the red zone. The Jaguars been doing this for years. It's kind of like a home away from home. Con has put that in their schedule where they play one home game a year, I guess, in London. But I think with all these streaming things, it's really turning off the fan in some ways because cable's expensive in more ways than one. But then to put it on all these other things like Amazon, I don't have the Amazon Prime, so I can't watch it. I got to basically listen to the game. And the games haven't been that good anyway on Amazon Prime. When you look at the Indianapolis, Denver, you had the Washington, Chicago, the New Orleans, Arizona, the list goes on and on. I think when you actually start to bring it in there, you should put it on free TV for a while at least, or let people have Amazon or stream it. But no, I think it's really, people can't see it if they don't have some of the cables. And I think they're getting away more and more. I think eventually in the next decade or so, you're going to get off of Fox and stuff and everything will be streaming.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, see, I have issues with now I don't believe it was on NFL Network because I looked at it, but they were just doing, what they were actually doing was taking look-ins is what they were doing on that. But I'm talking about the game itself, Mark. Okay, I'm not talking about the bits and pieces that, I know I'm very well aware of the Jacksonville Jaguars situation, that the Jaguars need that London game to actually break even all year. And Shad Khan, the NFL doesn't have a problem with it. They say, you want to go there every year, establish more power to them. The NFL's agenda here is to try to make sure that all their franchises are stable. And without a doubt, Mark, that's why they do it. And Shad Khan has a lot of my only issue is, it's for the London game at 9:30. No, I understand the Amazon Prime on Thursday night, and they can do more with, but don't do it to the London games at all. That to me, I do struggle with that one.
Well, if it's 9:30 your time, imagine out here it's 6:30. Imagine in Hawaii it's 3:30. So they're losing a lot of audience there. That thing should be streamed later on, in more ways than one to get it. But, the thing with the Jaguars, and I don't have anything for them doing what they're doing each and every year, but you're putting some marquee games that are home games. Denver with Russell Wilson, wouldn't you want that in Jacksonville? Wouldn't the season ticket holder want that? If you're going to rotate these things every year, rotate it within your division maybe. But don't take a top-notch team that's coming into Denver, Jacksonville every 3 years to take that off your schedule. The poor Denver Bronco fan that lives in Jacksonville now has to go to London and watch the game.
Yeah, no, he makes a lot of valid points there. I'll reiterate one more time. There's certain games you stream, but you don't mess around with the London ones. I don't care because, again, you're trying to market the sport in London, and they've had a good thing going. It's okay to tinker with things. I don't mind the streaming. I just feel in this particular case, Mark, not in this case, this is not the way to go. And I want a special shout out to Will Vogel. How you doing, Will? Glad that you can join us on not only the early show, the Fire Up Michigan, but also here on Fire Up as well. So obviously you struggle. So I guess the final thought on this is you struggle with streaming on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I do. I mean, everything's going there. And I think if you buy one package on cable, everything should be included. I mean, what they're doing is they're ripping these sports packages apart. So you got to buy 3-4 of the thing, where before everything was included. It's just another way of making money. Hey, you've been around the block, Scott. It's like baseball caps. Teams used to have one hat, home and road. Now we got 5 different hats on some of these cities.
No. Again, Mark, we do agree that streaming's okay, but there's certain times you use it and certain times you don't. And I'll reiterate one last time. I don't think on Sunday the Denver-Jacksonville one was a way to go. Hey, I didn't have a problem. And for everybody that wants to know what my week was like, okay, I spent a couple days during midweek in Detroit to come down to Florida. So for me, I ended up sleeping in till 10:30 on Sunday. So I really didn't even really matter. So so I had no problem. And when I found out that thing was being streamed, I just went out and had the sleeping pills and boom, that was it.
Did you feel like a trucker?
Mark, yeah, that picture I really did. Yeah, in fact, that company wants me to do more driving for them. And when I can go out there and do some meditating, my friend, I definitely do. So, all right. So, no show would be complete with you without a Pittsburgh reference, maybe not the one you really want to hear. But for whatever it's worth, the Philadelphia Eagles 35, the Pittsburgh Steelers 13. Kenny Pickett 191 yards, one interception and 6 sacks. Jalen Hurts 19 of 28, 285 yards, 4 touchdowns. A.J. Brown was certainly a headache for you with 6 for 156, 3 touchdowns. All right. I guess I should ask you, okay, are you sold on the Eagles, or what are your thoughts about the Steelers?
Well, we'll start with the Eagles first. I mean, that's pretty impressive what they've done in Philadelphia. It just seems like the whole city's taking the ball and running with it. You got the Phillies, you got the Eagles, you got the MLS team there, the Philadelphia Union that's in a championship. So, ditto to what's going on there in Philly. But I think I've always liked Jalen Hurts when he was in Alabama. Then he went to Oklahoma. I think he's found a home. And as long as you can keep him upright without getting injured, Philadelphia's a team that, they went out there and they've done what it takes. Pretty impressive in the offseason with the draft picks and picking up key components to filter their offensive and defensive lines. I mean, you got the Alabama flavor with Devontae Smith there. It's a wide receiver that Jalen Hurts can hit. Yeah, the off week didn't hurt them at the least. And, now they're taking control of a division, separating themselves 2 games ahead of the Cowboys and Giants. And the Skins are looking, 4 back. So, it's a division where, does Sirianni deserve the coach of the year? I don't know. What Chuck Knox did in Seattle was impressive over the years, but now look at what Pete Carroll's done with, salesmen and truckers and everything. So, but as far as Pittsburgh's concerned, I think they've tuned out Mike Tomlin. I really do. I think there's an indication that maybe they need a new voice in Pittsburgh. They don't get rid of coaches, but the offensive line needs work. The running game, Najee Harris says people got to be held accountable. I don't know what he means by that, but just looking at it, this road trip going through Miami and Philadelphia, they should have won in Miami. Maybe they should have had a better showing. They kept it close in the first half in Philly. Wheels completely fell off the wagon train. They got an off week. It's just going to get harder and harder when they come back, and they'll be opening up with the Saints at home November 13th.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about Philadelphia is this team has a really good shot to get to the Super Bowl. There's no question. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you just mentioned. I mean, they look awfully good. Kenny Pickett, unfortunately, 191 yards, 1 interception, 6 sacks. I still think they should have kept Trubisky and let Kenny Pickett have a red shirt here. That's what I think.
No doubt about it. When you look at the NFC, it's kind of flipped around. Nobody had the Eagles. The 49ers are looking good with McCaffrey. They own the Rams. The third team in this equation, you might laugh at me, after the Eagles and the 49ers, is you better keep your eyes on the ATL. The Falcons look like they're coming on.
You know what, Mark? I don't think you're crazy about this one. I for some crazy reason, I think you're on target. So, all right. But anyways, getting back on point here. Ralph Williams, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. It is sad about the Steelers. They don't normally let coaches go. I think the Roonies will still keep them around, but they got a lot of work to do in a lot of ways. And the Eagles, what can you say? They're a juggernaut right now. This team is awfully good. So, final thing we're going to talk about tonight, Mark, the state of LA basketball. Since you like to talk about big cities and yours, no, we're not bringing up any Statue of Liberty being thrown in the Atlantic Ocean tonight. Although I tell you, that's one of the most interesting things I've ever heard in 42 years in the business. I'm not going to dwell on that one. Coming from you, we did, but keeping it real here. You live in the greater Los Angeles area. Lakers 1-5 got their first win last night against Denver, and then Clippers 2-4 with a 4-game losing streak. I don't know, my friend.
Well, let's start with the Lakers first. 1-5. I think all the blame is going on Russell Westbrook, and I like Russell Westbrook. He's a Hall of Famer in my book. I think the real problem here is there's nobody's held accountable in Los Angeles, and we haven't seen really accountability since Phil Jackson. But the guy that could restore order in Los Angeles, but he ain't going to leave his position where you are down there as the president of the Miami Heat, is Pat Riley. Pat Riley was one guy that stood up to LeBron James when LeBron James wanted Eric Spoelstra fired. He said, no, you can go to Cleveland or you can go to L.A., but we're not getting rid of Eric Spoelstra here. So I think I don't know who's running the Lakers. Jeannie Buss, Kurt Rambis's wife, Palinka, the agent to LeBron before he hooked up with another agency. I mean, they just don't have shooters here in Los Angeles. That's the problem. Davis plays 20 to 30 games. I mean, they're selling out, but this is a team that may be living off a tradition in more ways than one. Pulling a game out against Denver, boy, they were looking at 0-6.
Right.
I think this is going to be a team that might fall 15 to 20 games under 500 finishing the year, my friend.
Oh, I have no doubt about it in my mind that you are dead on with that. I really do. Let's face it, I thought Patrick Beverly was a good pickup for him, but he's not a franchise player who's going to do anything for you at all. He's a complimentary piece. I really do feel bad for Russell Westbrook. I hope they find a way to trade him out of there. And you know where I would really love to see Russell Westbrook wind up is Oklahoma City.
Yeah, well, with your wife being a Milwaukee girl, I love my Bucks, and look at a small market. Look at how they put it together. They signed the Greek Freak. They put in missing pieces. They're undefeated right now. With Detroit coming into town. But when you look at the Clippers, I think the Clippers are really in good shape. I know they're struggling of late. They got a game tonight with Houston, and they'll play them 2 days later. They can even their books. But with John Wall coming in there now, I like them with Kawhi Leonard, and they've got a team here that can be dangerous come playoff time. I think the Clippers are a team you got to watch out for here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. I've always thought, and I never will get back off it. I'd say the LA Clippers and the Arizona Coyotes are the two worst franchises in pro sports, and I will never back off of that. Kawhi Leonard plays when he's healthy, which is never anyways. And they have a couple, he's had health issues, load management. To me, the first time I ever heard about it was with the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard's name attached to it. So,
well, I will tell you this, and I know people look at the Clippers, and I've covered them for a lot of years, and they got the richest owner in all four major sports, and Steve Ballmer there.
Right.
He'll do whatever it takes to get them. They're getting a new arena. They'll be playing in 2024, right next to SoFi. So I think they'll break out of that Laker King, shadow. I like their chances. I mean, we can go back to when the Clippers were in San Diego. Bill Walton, you had World Be Free down there, and it was a laughing stock, and they were just an also ran where teams came in there and people would go see the visiting team. But I think you're going to start to see little brother, the redheaded stepchild, do some damage here in the NBA. I'm not going to say they're going to win an NBA championship this year, but I think moving in a new arena, bringing some key components, as long as Steve Ballmer's running this team, he'll pull out all the stops to put a winner on the court.
I'll give you that. Steve Ballmer, to me, is the best thing that happened to that doormat franchise. We know it was in pathetic shape when Sterling was running it. But as far as the Lakers are concerned, it is just so sad to see how far they've really fallen. And you made a good point, Mark, that they're living off a tradition is really what they are.
Well, Dr. Jerry Buss spent money, did whatever, he was a player's type of an owner. I think Genie's trying to do a good job with it. The son, didn't really do nothing. I mean, he ran it into the ground. They've lost a lot of good GMs there. Mitch Kupchak was good when he was there. Jerry West didn't want any part of it. Jerry West was instrumental in getting Kobe Bryant in there, trading Vlade Divac to Charlotte. So, but when you let guys like West, when you let guys like Riley go, your organization starts to go by the wayside.
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, you can't let great minds go. You do that, I mean, that's a brain trust of your operation. It really is. And that's why the Lakers are in the mess that they are. And you're right, Pat Riley showed LeBron the door. He didn't care. This is my show, my way or the highway. I don't care how big you think you are. Okay, we have a lot of good players and we have a good culture there. We really do.
Well, the only worst organization more so than the Lakers right about now, and he'd have to go too because he's lost a lot of guys, is James Dolan in New York. The Knicks haven't been relevant since, John Starks missed that shot. They've lost some real good guys, and Dave Checkett's there that was running it. Phil Jackson was there. Rick Pitino was there. Pat Riley was there. List goes on and on of guys that they've just let out the door. So if you have a problem with all those guys, it's really not their problem. It's the guy that's running the team there, and James Dolan.
Yeah, no, you're right. I've heard a lot of stories about that. Mark, we only have a few minutes left to go in the show. So, with that said, I'll go ahead and talk about us, and you and I will talk about our future plans so that our followers can look forward to what we're looking ahead to do. But first of all, folks, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and advertise call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. If you struggle to find it through our website, just go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, hit the subscribe button, you're good to go. You can follow us on Twitter at Tribune South, and also email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And a special shout out to Candy Ebling, who does an outstanding job getting the written content up as well as the show. So, Mark, this is the way it's going to be from now on, unless we have a guest coming from your end. And I know you have a lot of contacts that we're looking forward to bring on Fire Up. I like the way show is going to be reformatted with me and you anyways. I enjoy what we do on Sports Talk Saturday with you and I and Bruce Kessinger. Now my goal is to visualize that as well as do other things as well. With that said, we got 3.5 minutes to go. Mark, let everybody know how they get a hold of you, my friend.
XM 203, Sirius 217. You can get a hold of me on WWDB AM 860 out of Philadelphia. And then on this show on Mondays, man, tearing it up with you, man. I'm looking forward to it. Mayhem in Miami, baby.
Well, mayhem everywhere, because one thing about Fire Up, it goes everywhere. We don't talk about specific areas, although if a topic does come up there that's worth bringing, sure, we're going to we don't leave any topics not covered if I think they're relevant and they're trending topics, and that's what we're going to do. No more or less different than what you and I and Bruce do as well. So I think I've enjoyed the working relationship South Florida Tribune has with Mancini Sports, and I'm certainly looking for ways to expand it. And the main thing is just simply make it better. And that's
and more props to those Dolphins, man. Great win in Detroit.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, no, they look pretty impressive as well doing that as well. Let's face reality: Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle put on a good show. And what can I say about the Lions? They're 1-6. So meanwhile, that concludes this edition of Fire Up on a Halloween night. I know Mark Mancini is going to have a little activity at his door. And me, the only thing I'm going to be doing is promoting the show and getting ready for a bunch of other ones over the course of the following week. So meanwhile, Mark, good first act with just the two of us tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with this thing, you and I, and matching wits ends. That's really what it's all about, is the madman and mad mouth here going out there and doing the best we can to make sure that we come up with the most interesting things out there. So meanwhile, on behalf of Madman Mancini, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Fire Up, and we will catch you the next time. Have a good evening, everybody. Enjoy your trick or treats, and thanks for taking your time to go ahead and pay attention to us as well. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.